Are your ancestral messages replacing the voice of God? I pondered on if I should give this message because I know it's a very controversial topic. But I want to give this message in the most gentle way possible, with you understanding that I'm not here to condemn, I'm not here to judge. I also am about to tell my story and my experiences about how I was doing tarot, how I was going to my ancestors for guidance, and it was blocking my relationship with God. I'm going to tell you guys how that shifted in me, what viewpoints God showed me to bring me to clarity, and where I'm at now with it. First off and foremost, okay, I had to bring my notes, honey, because I'm telling y'all, I don't want to rub anybody the wrong way. Again, I'm not here to judge or condemn, okay? I was doing it. But if you want a better relationship with God, you are going to have to let go of the other voices. The thing that I didn't understand with me doing tarot was that I didn't see that I was having control issues. I wanted to control things, which I have control issues in my life, period, or used to, where I couldn't understand when God was saying, this is not working. I would say, okay, let me change. Let me get them to change instead of just letting it go and accepting what is. I needed to control the situation. So doing tarot was another way for me to try to control the outcome, or just try to get ahead of it. If I knew what was going on, if I knew what was coming next, I can avoid it. If I knew what God expected of me now, that's another thing. I was believing in God, but at the same time, I was going to my cards. I was talking to my ancestors, and I won't say worshiping. I won't say it in that way, but we gotta call a spade a spade. When we sit up here and we are obsessed with these celebrities, we going to the concerts, we buying everything, we see them, we screaming, we falling out. I remember a long time ago, somebody showed me like this video of Michael Jackson in his shows, and people were falling out, honey. That is idolatry. Okay, we are worshiping other gods, and it looks like in the form of celebrities. And I'm not saying your relationship with your ancestors are that far, but I'm looking into the Bible and I'm saying people made altars for God, and in real life we're making altars for our ancestors. So for my experience, y'all, I was a great tarot reader. I'm gonna tell you, I was good. I was doing tarot readings on TikTok Live, and people who were with me from the jump with my journey, they know they were there. And my clientele got built up. I was making really good money. But there became a point where I just went to my cards for everything. And it started to become so frustrating, because even in my cards, y'all, this is when I knew real deliverance was happening. Even in my cards, my ancestors were telling me to let go of them and let go of the cards, right? And it was really hard for me, because I was always right. I was always right, or the cards were always right. I could always interpret them right. So it was kind of hard to let them go, because, wow, God, that means I'm riding this bicycle with no training wheels anymore. I'm riding this thing called life with no training wheels. So that was my experience. I was in tarot. I was doing all of this stuff. There was even a point where I would get so deep in tarot, I could close my eyes and I could see other people's ancestors, not knowing that I was dipping and dabbing in other realms and dimensions that I had no other business in. And this takes me back to Adam and Eve. We don't realize that when the serpent deceived Eve to get her to go get that fruit off that tree, honey, the forbidden fruit, we don't understand that that's kind of what we're doing. God is like, I'm protecting you from a lot of information that is not for you to have. You shouldn't know all of that stuff. And I didn't know that's what I was doing when I was doing tarot. I was literally eating forbidden fruit. I was getting a lot of information that definitely made me like, oh my God, this is how this is. This is the way this works. And it was very confusing for me. It was a lot. And what changed, though? I want to get into that because I want to help deliver somebody, okay? What changed for me, I fasted. This was like, before I fasted, I told y'all that my ancestors were telling me in the cards to let go of the cards and let go of them. So I did it. I just knew. When you have that deep knowing, God is speaking directly to you. I had a deep knowing. And I said, okay, let me let go of tarot. So I stopped doing the tarot cards. But then I was still acknowledging my ancestors. I don't have an altar. I wasn't doing all of that, but I was still acknowledging them. And I fasted. When I moved into my new house, I fasted. Now, at the time, like I said, there's no tarot, there's no altar, but I'm still acknowledging my ancestors. And something in me said, in order for you to get close to God, you're going to have to move everything that's blocking that connection to source. There are things blocking that. You acknowledging your ancestors every day is blocking that. You like getting to a point, like I had pictures set up. There was a time that I did have an altar, but when I moved in my house, I didn't. So when I fasted, God just told me that God was like, you need to get to me. And the only way you can get to me is if you let everything else go. And then it kind of dawned on me too. If you are the chosen one and you are here to save your bloodline, to preserve the bloodline, the godliness in the bloodline, what do they know? What do your ancestors know? How can they help you? And when you think about it, you're here to help them. You're here to save the ones, like to do it for the ones before you and the ones after you. If God sent you to clear everything out in the bloodline, what do they know? Why are we not going to God? That gets me to my next point. I had to understand that there are things that only God knows. Number one, when you are reading something in cards, a lot of this information you're not supposed to be privy to. It's kind of like an episode of That's So Raven. A lot of times the prevention and the knowing of what's happening next is actually what's going to cause the problem, the drama. It would have never went that way if you did not know what was coming or was happening. It would have never went that way. On top of that, there are a lot of things that even your ancestors can't see. There are a lot of information. There's a lot of information in the spiritual realm that only God holds and only God knows. So the more we're trying to get an understanding of what's coming up next and what is this and what is going on, baby, they don't have that information. And then it brought me to my next point as well. Now, this is all the time where God is hitting me with stuff and saying, this is why I need you to walk away. Because if y'all like me, sometimes I need a why. God said, I'm here to get closer to you. Okay? If you're going to them and they're telling you certain things that to save you, just say they see a car accident, right? Your ancestors are telling you, girl, you about to get into a car accident. You don't understand that car accident was something that was in God's will to open up another door for you. You will be saved. You will be safe. Nobody will get hurt, but it was to open up another door for you. I was reluctant to walk through the fire because I thought that the messages that I was getting from my ancestors were warnings. And instead, God was saying, no, that very thing that you walked through was to save you. Was to put you in position. That very thing, and it takes me back to Joseph and everything Joseph went through. That very thing is actually to save you. That very thing that you see as chaos, as drama, as, horrible thing happening in your life, a chaotic event. This is actually here to save you. This is a part of my will. So I had to understand that as well, that we are meant to walk through the fire. And the warnings that we get, the ancestor messages that we get. How can I walk through the fire if I'm seeing everything as a warning? If I'm looking at the world as scared when God is saying, go, you're going to be fine, go. But ultimately for me, it was that I was not fully trusting God. And I kid y'all not, I think it was the craziest thing ever when I was reading my tarot cards, that sometimes they were telling me, let go of the cards, trust God. And I was special enough to have ancestors who were speaking to me in that way. But a lot of times we got to understand, like I said, you're the one here to save everybody. They can't help you. They can't guide you. On top of that, that's information that they don't even know about. But I do want to just end this by saying, sometimes this message is hard to hear. If this was not for you, baby, keep scrolling. I don't care to see the comments. I'm not going to argue with you. I wanted to give a gentle message to somebody like somebody gave to me. I seen so many people saying, that's evil. You do tarot? That's so evil. You're going to hell. And I couldn't receive none of that because I don't believe none of that. But it got to a point where one girl said, the reason why you don't need to do it is because you fully need to trust God. In order for you to fully trust God and put everything in God's hands, there is no way you could be doing tarot and trusting in God and having faith in God. It's actually impossible. It's impossible. And she didn't say you're straddling the fence. I'm saying I was straddling the fence and didn't even know it. But her giving me that message was when I fully received it. And so I wanted to give this message in a very gentle way. It's time for you to fully choose God. If you're going through this, this is your message. This is your confirmation. It's time for you to let it go. And I'm only going to tell you that because I've been through it, honey. I was doing the same thing. God got you. You're about to literally go to the next level. You're headed to the next level by fully letting this go. Okay?